oh, come, Emmanuel, and ransom captive
Greetings, family, and welcome to another episode of Wake Up Africa. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. How you doing? How's everything going? I really do pray, family, that you are well in all your ways and that you're moving into living life very much on your own terms, in your own consciousness, in the true and ancient narratives of your own people, because for the first time in a very, very, very long time, family, we have the opportunity to move away from other people's stories, from other people's narratives about us, where literally our royalty was hijacked, our lands were taken, our way of life was totally erased and demonized. And we ended up the slaves to a foreign system. And the way we were slaves, family, because there's all kinds of conversation about slavery and colonialism and everything, is that energetically and spiritually, we were creating their reality, regardless of whether we were independent, colonized, slaves, free. The fact that they got us to speak only their tongue, to write our laws in their tongue, to make our children learn their language, and then fed us all these stories that were upside down and back to front, literally meant that we were creating a reality for them. But that has all come to an end with the new dispensation that came in. I feel like it has been incoming, but there has been a huge wave between January and April, a huge wave. And that's why you saw characters like the Pope and, the guy of the World Economic Forum checking out, family, checking out of the theater, stage left, because a new dispensation here is. And, a lot of people have been telling me, well, it doesn't matter that they left because, they're going to bring in people that are harder than them, that are bigger, that are worse, that are this, that are that. But you see, what you need to understand, family, is that crowns have anointings. Crowns are attached to certain principalities and certain spirits. And so when you're told that, when someone takes a crown, a title, an anointing, becomes the Pope, becomes the king, becomes a queen, becomes the president, they are anointed with the spirits and the principalities that are there. And usually it was historic. It was, it came all the way down, and they would almost carry this spirit in them that was larger than them. They'd almost become the seat for like a principality, a spiritual whatever. And that is what made them larger than life. But because we are now in a new dispensation, family, a lot of doors that those kind of principalities and beings were using, especially these more negative principalities, have been shut. And so the powers that Pope Francis had are not going to be the powers that the next Pope has. And if you know, because they don't have access to those demonic altars and demonic principalities, and those particular beings can't even hope to survive in the kind of new dispensation and high energy reality that we are consistently moving towards. But those are stories for other days. Special shout out to the sponsor of today's show, Greg, who has written this amazing book called Trying Times. Let's take a listen to him. We'll be right back.
Wake up, Africa!
Trying Times, from the pyramids to the projects. Thoughts and poems addressing critical issues of our times, spiritually written to scientifically engage the reader into our higher consciousness. Remove the veil of deception, the importance of the Black family and all families. Evil has no place in our emerging new season. A poem in the book titled Israel Goddamn. moving the individual and ultimately humanity to a higher state of existence. Available on Amazon.
So definitely, family, get yourself a copy of Greg's book. It has so many codes and keys that will just trigger all kinds of, memories in you. And he really does do a great job of kind of letting us know how we went from being gods to literally living in ghettos and, being out of our minds. And you can get his book on Amazon. All the links are down below, and I'll also give you the link to his Instagram in case you want to get in touch with him. So the old Rome is gone. Rome has fallen, family, because the kings that were holding that Rome have been pushed out. And so the current kings that come in, like the new pope that will come in, will not have access to the same spiritual principalities, to the same demonic altars that the previous one had. And so we now have an opportunity, family, to move out of the covenants that we signed during the previous dispensation. And that's what you're seeing happening in the motherland, where different countries are saying, we don't want the French army here anymore. We don't want this influence here anymore. And as we go to reclaim our powers, like even getting our land back and things like that, changing the laws, because they got us in these agreements and in these laws. And that's the biggest wizardry, family, that has been done on us, is that we've signed so many covenants, laws, and agreements without really knowing the extent that these covenants, laws, and agreements went to. And there's a guy who said, very light, But one thing the motherland needs to be aware of is that in our push for independence, the former colonizer is not just gonna let us go, like let us sail off into the sunset. And we need to be reminded and talk about more and create documentaries, TikToks, tweets, little videos in our mother tongues about how this is not the first rodeo that Africans are on. This is not the first time we've tried to be free. This is not the first time we've tried to end covenants. We're not the first ones who are like, I don't want like the way Africa is. That spirit has been alive generation to generation. But whenever they saw a leader who was outspoken, they Gaddafi'd him. I mean, it's very open knowledge now that Obama is the reason that Gaddafi is no more. Even though there's been some Senate hearings and conversations that have been saying about how Gaddafi was ready to step down. He was even ready to pay off Obama, the divided states, NATO. But he was ready to step down, go and live a quiet life, and leave Libya as it was. But that was not the idea, because he wanted a one African bank that would be based on the gold standard, which Libya had a lot of. He was awakening and resuscitating a spirit of unity and connection across the motherland, and they couldn't allow him to remain. It's like, if you look, family, at the recent epidemic that we had, COVID, and how the three African presidents that cried about this, that tried to say, no, this is not what we want, were literally unalived. Magufuli, I think there was the Burundian president as well, and I think the third one was the Haitian president. There are all kinds of, research papers and reports that have come out that have shown how, or that claim, and that have evidence, family, that at least 22 African leaders have been taken out by the French, either through coups or assassinations, have been assassinated, I think, actually. And now a lot of more videos are emerging where we're starting to see how a lot of the British colony presidents, especially here in Kenya, family, literally we have a video of every single president, apart from the last three, let's say, but of the first two at least, joining the it's some secret society. I don't know what the name has escaped me, but literally joining the Masonic order. The same thing with Mandela. We saw him in the same robe. I think it's something of the Queen or some army. I don't know. You can see it here. And so we have to not be naive and think we can just say, I want to be free, and we'll just, we can just proceed legally and speaking wise. A lot of those, our forefathers who wanted a liberal and highly developed and highly advanced Africa, was sabotaged. They used our very own family. They didn't have to come and do it. Sometimes they just had to give instructions, and they'd already educated them, taken them to foreign schools. So it was not easy it was not hard to dismantle anyone who wanted to bring change. But we happen to be now in a season and time, family, where those that want a new Africa are in the majority. We honor the ancestors in the wind. We are in the season and time where the ancestors and the ancient ones are back. The ones that remember, the ones that know that they are kings, that they are queens, that they are gods, that they are goddesses, that they are the rulers and the guardians of this world. And so, even for them, even for Babylon to run Africa like it did, or to take over the running of the world, they also used a lot of priests, or created a lot of priests from the holy families, from the high priestesses and prophets and modomogos and seers. They would specially select, especially from the Catholics family. They were known to go into villages and to ask for, those that had powers, the families that had powers, the families that could see, the families that could heal. And those are the sons that they picked. Because remember, I've always told you, this spirit that has been trying to invade, Mama Earth, has come through Mzungu male. That is the body they've chosen to, although now they're in all shapes and sizes and colors, family. And so they would tap into those priests. But what is happening now, family, is that there has been a change of the guard, whether we see it or not, energetically, spiritually, it's happened. And if you are a royal priesthood, if you are part of the royal priesthood, you know it in how things are moving. And there has been a transition. The ancestors, the spiritual realm, the Most High, has transitioned the crowns, the instruments of power, to those who will rule and reign in the new dispensation. And what started to actually see the crumble of Rome and of domination of the motherland and of domination of, the world, is that those who are now the custodians of the new dispensation are refusing to sell out their people. They don't have a price. In fact, they don't have desires and needs. They are on a whole different vibration. We're born, family, literally, with a different vibration where we can never fit into certain conversations and certain narratives. And so they're no longer able to keep the fires that need to be burning to continue to control the world. And if you know, you know. If you over inner and understand, you over inner and understand. And so we are the generation that will start the restoration of the motherland and the restoration of our people. And that restoration has already begun. And we are the majority. That's why you saw for the first time ever, after the US general said that, started to accuse and point fingers at Traoré, people came and they said, yo, you're not going to do to, Ibrahim Traoré what you did to Gaddafi. And on April 30th, there was this mega rally, which happened to be around the new moon, family. There was a mega global rally in support of Ibrahim Traoré. And I was listening to a certain gentleman, and I'll try and add the video to the end of this clip, to the end of this show, where he was saying, it's not just about Traoré. It's not just about the divided state still thinking. I think they just try to see, can we still control you guys? Still thinking they have that much power where they can say, you are a bad leader to your people and take him out. But the backlash has been so overwhelming. And this guy was saying, it's not about that. It's that they have now triggered what we've been feeling spiritually. The unity of our people, unity of movement, unity of voice, standing in unity. And you will start to see, family, you will start to see for yourself how massive this is going to be, how bigger than Ibrahim Traoré is. But we must be aware that those we seek freedom from do not want to give us freedom. And they would rather resort to violence because they've just been playing cool. Like, okay, if you don't ask for too much, we'll all play this game like you're free, but you're not really free. You're just playing this dumb story. You're playing in this dumb narrative where you're at the bottom of a pyramid scheme. So it's always been that. But the minute we actually say, nah, man, we're done with this, then we'll see the real nature and face of the colonizer, the so-called imperialist. And you see, the ancestors and the ancient ones and the Most High have already planned on what to do about this because they're raising our vibration to such a level where the weapons they form against us will try to fashion against us, will not even, they won't even land anywhere. They'll just go back on them. But we also should not be naive. We must declare what we want for the motherland, declare what we want for Africa, declare what we want for our people, with no apologies, with no, and let's actually learn to declare it in our mother tongue. There's so much more I can say about that, family, but I'll definitely leave that for stories for other days. A special shout out to Greg for being the sponsor of today's show. Definitely check out his book, Trying Times, which is available on Amazon. The links are down below. And let's end with his clip where he does a great job of telling us what his book is about, family. It is so perfect for the times, the trying times that we find ourselves in now. And if you'd like to sponsor a show, get in touch. mumbi.saraki@gmail.com. Tuko pamoja.
Wake up, Africa!
Trying times from the pyramids to the projects. Thoughts and poems addressing critical issues of our times, spiritually written to scientifically engage the reader into our higher consciousness. Remove the veil of deception, the importance of the Black family and all families. Evil has no place in our emerging new season. A poem in the book titled, Israel Goddamn, moving the individual and ultimately humanity to a higher state of existence. Available on Amazon.